Miss Kristi here, and I am so excited to be cooking again together. Today we are learning how to make peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. Now this recipe only has few ingredients, it's super quick and easy, and it makes a really yummy cookie. Plus, it doesn't have any flour in it, so if you happen to be gluten-free or you can't eat the flour, this recipe doesn't have it in it. So it's gonna be a fun day in the kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. Now, we know that the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands to get rid of those germs. So while I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's talk about the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to cook along today. The ingredients you'll need are 1 egg, 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1/4 cup chocolate chips. The supplies you'll need are oven mitts for safety, a baking sheet, a medium mixing bowl, 1/2 cup measuring cup, 1/4 measuring cup, a whisk, 2 spoons, and parchment paper if you have it. Okay, great. Now that our hands are clean and you've gathered the ingredients and supplies that you need to cook along, let's get started. First step in this recipe is we are using our oven, so we need to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Step 1. All right, while the oven is preheating, let's make these peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. Again, super simple, not a lot of ingredients. So the first thing that we're gonna do now is grab our bowl, and we are gonna measure in 1/2 cup of sugar. So grab your dry measuring cup. It's gonna be the one that says 1/2 for 1/2 cup, and then you're gonna grab your sugar. Now my sugar is brown. If your sugar is white, that's perfectly fine. We are just using regular sugar, not brown sugar. So 1/2 cup of sugar goes into the bowl. Easy enough? All right. The next thing we're gonna do is 1 egg. So you're gonna grab an egg and we're gonna crack it right into the bowl, because then we're gonna mix these two together. So if you don't feel super sure about cracking it into the bowl and not getting a shell in it, you can just use a little bowl and crack it in that and then dump it in. So that's what I'll do. Just going to crack our egg. Okay. And then we're just gonna dump it right into our sugar. So far we've got sugar, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1 egg. Take your whisk and mix it together. And we want to make sure that the egg and the sugar kind of mix into each other and dissolve. And we're actually gonna let this sit for a few seconds while we measure out our peanut butter to get nice and mixed. All right, so I whisked it, it looks good. I don't see any eggs anymore, it's all looking like one ingredient. So I'm gonna set this to the side. Now we need 1/2 cup of peanut butter. So grab your peanut butter, and yours might be in the jar, perfectly fine. We just need to measure 1/2 cup. So I'm gonna grab my dry measuring cup again. It's the one that says 1/2, so 1/2 cup, and either you can take a spoon and kind of dump it into your mixture here, or you can try to pour it out if yours is a little bit runny. My peanut butter is a little thinner, so it's easy to pour, but if you are scooping yours out of the jar, you can just use a spoon too. However, we need to measure it to get it 1/2 cup into our dry measuring cup. That's the goal. Perfect. All right. So now that we have our peanut butter measured, we're just going to dump it into our sugar and egg mixture here. I can't tell you how super simple this is, and it makes really yummy cookies. So I'm excited for you to try it. All right. Now all we we need to do is mix it. And I'm actually just gonna use the spoon that we just used to scoop it out to mix it together. Again, there's not any flour in this recipe, so it's great if maybe you or someone you know can't have gluten or flour, and they can try this. So we're gonna mix it together. And we're just mixing it until it starts to thicken up a little bit. So it was kind of really thin when we started, and now as I continue to mix it, you can see it's getting a little bit thicker. And now just depending on the color of your peanut butter too, yours might look a little bit different, not a problem. As long as we're using peanut butter and following the ingredients, yours may look a little bit different just depending on the type of peanut butter you have. Okay, so that looks good. I'm gonna leave the spoon in here and measure out 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. If you don't like chocolate chips, if you can't have chocolate, you could just keep it out. You don't have to add this part of the recipe and you'll just have peanut butter cookies, which is totally good too. But if you're like me and you love chocolate, I'm gonna add chocolate chips to mine. So grab your chocolate chips and our 1/4 cup measuring cup, so it's a little bit smaller. It's gonna say 1/4. And scoop out a nice yummy scoop of chocolate. And then we're just gonna dump it right into our peanut butter mixture. And then again, using the same spoon, you're just going to mix it all together. That way, when we scoop our cookies, we can hopefully have some chocolate chips in all of them. Now, this isn't gonna make a ton of cookies because we like to do smaller snacks on this channel. So that way, if you make it for yourself, you can have some for throughout the week, or if you're gonna make it for just a couple friends or family, you don't have a ton of cookies. So this is usually gonna make about 5 or 6 cookies, just depending on how big you scoop them. And that gets to be your decision, how big you want your cookies to be. So let's actually put them on our baking sheet now. It's all mixed together. That's it. Those are the ingredients you need. Super simple. Grab your baking sheet, and if you have parchment paper, use it. It's gonna be your friend, like I always say. It just makes life a lot easier. So all you're gonna do is grab your other spoon. So remember in the beginning I told you you needed 2 spoons? This is why. So you're going to kind of just grab a scoop from your spoon and plop it on your baking sheet and use the other spoon to just kind of scrape it down. And like I said, you get to decide how big you want your cookies to be. My family likes big cookies, so I'm gonna make the scoops a little bit bigger so that when they're done, there's some nice sized cookies. And that's all we're gonna do, scoop them out. And you wanna leave a little bit of room on your baking pans. You don't want them right next to each other, or else you're gonna end up with one giant cookie and it's probably not gonna cook evenly. So make sure you've got some room between your cookies when you're putting them on the sheet. Okay. Like I said, this is gonna make 5 or 6. So with my cookie size today, it did make, I'll call it 5.5, about 6 cookies, because this last one might be a little bit smaller. But it is important that you try to get the same size for your cookies so they cook evenly. If you have some really big ones and you have some really small ones, the small ones are gonna cook faster and they might burn before the big ones are done. So as best as you can, scooping them out onto your pan, let's try to make them the same size. But that's it. So it took a couple quick minutes to make the cookies and we've already got them on the cookie sheet. Now, when our oven is preheated, we are gonna pop them in for 10 minutes. So we're gonna set a 10-minute timer, and then we'll take them out and let them cool, and then we'll put them on a plate. So let's get them in the oven. The 10-minute timer just went off. So now we're gonna put our oven mitts on for safety so we don't burn ourselves, and we're gonna take the cookies out of the oven and put them on the counter. I have some pot holders down, something to protect the counter. We're gonna let it sit out for 5 minutes to cool, and then we'll get them on the plate and give them a try. 5 minutes later. All right, it has been 5 minutes and we let the cookies cool, and all I've done is just grabbed a plate and put them on the plate, and they look so good. Now, the longer you let them sit, they're gonna harden up as they cool. So you can wait a little bit longer than 5 minutes, totally your call. But this is how they've turned out, and it was so easy. Again, we just used a couple ingredients. If you don't like the chocolate chips, leave them out. But this is a great little cookie that you can make, and for me, it made 6 cookies. So if you do smaller cookies and you wanna make some more, it might make a couple more for your friends or family. But if not, and I just ate these all myself, I would have one for almost every day of the week. So it's a perfect size recipe, and I do hope you try it. Now, on next week's episode, it's almost Halloween where I live, so it's fall, and I'm gonna make a spooky strawberry treat. So this is just like a festive little snack, and it's super easy. There's only 3 ingredients, so I do hope you try it with us. But let's go over the ingredients that you'll need to cook along next week. The ingredients that you need are 15 strawberries, 1/2 cup of white chocolate chips, 1 tablespoon of mini chocolate chips, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, which is optional. All right, friends, so that's our snack for this week. You know what you need to cook along next week, and I do hope you join us. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when those episodes are out. Give these cookies a try because they smell really good, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.